All right, tons of people emailing me saying, David, you aren't covering the blockbuster DNC lawsuit. Cover it. This is huge. Well, I'm going to cover it, and I want to explain to you why it isn't getting much coverage. There is a sort of corporate media blackout on this lawsuit, but there's a reason why, and I'm going to explain it to you. And the reason why is that the lawsuit is going nowhere. And I know people are going to hear me say this, and they'll say, David, how dare you? How dare you say it's going nowhere? There is a major story that you may have seen floating around online. And the major story is corporate media blackout on a DNC lawsuit. Well, what are the merits of the lawsuit? What are the facts of the case? A lawsuit has been filed against the Democratic National Committee for their alleged favoring of Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders during the 2016 primary. This has been filed as a class action in U.S. District Court by residents of 45 states against both the DNC and specifically against Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, the then DNC chair, for, quote, intentional, willful, wanton, and malicious conduct in violating Article 5, Section 4 of the Democratic National Committee's charter. There are three classes of plaintiffs here: donors to the DNC, donors to Bernie Sanders' campaign, and all registered Democrats. On April 25th, the court held a hearing on a motion to dismiss. The DNC's lawyers argued, we have every right to pick candidates in the back rooms and favor candidates if that's what we want to do. There has been very little coverage of it. The lawyers for the DNC are saying that Sanders supporters were aware that the primaries were effectively rigged and that neutrality is a political promise that cannot be enforced by a court. Basically, the argument from DNC lawyers is, this is our internal charter. We're not legally bound to it. Thus, the lawsuit is bogus. This is an affirmative defense, right? Rather than denying that they rigged the primaries or were, pushing the scale for one candidate over another, they're saying there's nothing stopping the DNC from helping one candidate win over another. Why isn't this going to get much coverage? Because the DNC is basically right. I am the first person to tell you, yeah, the DNC did favor Hillary Clinton. They favored her. They did. They made decisions with regard to the debate scheduling and number of debates, timing, etc. that was meant to help Hillary Clinton. In many ways, they were strategizing together with the Hillary Clinton campaign against Bernie Sanders. But whatever Democrats' internal charter says, that they are supposed to be a neutral arbiter of the primary, unless individual donors can prove that some kind of real fraud was committed, which, even if we colloquially think that that could be demonstrated, is very hard to do legally, this is going nowhere. So I'm not defending corporate media for not covering this, but I'm explaining to you why this is going nowhere. People are going to be mad at me for saying this. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's easy to forget sometimes that the Democratic Party is a private institution. So you're right, they don't have to adhere to their own charter. But I think the people bringing this class action lawsuit are looking for some sort of symbolic victory. And I think that's what they're able to get, because if the DNC's lawyers have to make concessions to the fact that, yeah, we did rig this and Bernie Sanders supporters knew about it, I think that's good enough. I think that's sort of a win in and of itself. You
think? I don't know that there are too many of the people that are emailing me saying, David, you've got to cover this and corporate media won't cover it. I don't know that they're going to be happy with the symbolic victory, because they're still emailing me, even though they already got the symbolic victory, right?
I could see them wanting to have some sort of repercussions when it comes to Debbie Wasserman-Schultz.
Okay.
But what do you want? The Democratic Party to be fined and thus your ability to run effective candidates in 2018 and 2020 to be hindered?
That's a fair question, and
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. And obviously, I want to be clear. I agree with the allegations made by the lawsuit. I just don't believe that the lawsuit itself is going to do anything. And obviously, the Democratic Party isn't that democratic. Superdelegates, right? I mean, the ability for individuals to overrule large swaths of Democratic voters. We knew that it wasn't really democratic to begin with, and that's not a surprise at all. But that, if you disagree about where the lawsuit will go, let me know, right? And then I'll follow up.
Well, luckily, when Debbie Wasserman-Schultz was ousted, they replaced her with someone who was completely impartial, being Donna Brazile.
Yes, Donna Brazile came in, and then everything was fine.